the sunshine state of Florida, about 83 miles north of Orlando, the World Equestrian Center, the perfect setting for the DEKA 2024 World Championships. Hello and welcome to On the Rocks podcast with me, Coach Marshy. Welcome to this special episode of the show where we get to talk about everything DEKA World Championships, and we get to review it with three athletes and guests of the show today. So let's bring them straight in. Welcome, Kirsty. Hello. Welcome back to the show, Kirsty. Hello to Emma, first time on the show.
Hello.
And in the studio with me, welcome Carol. In you come, Carol. So here we are. As we record this, we're about a week post DEKA Worlds now. And there's been a whole load of emotion and review for me. And I was just there as a spectator and podcaster. So you guys, there must be all sorts of things that you have going for your heads. You've probably told stories all week. It's probably been really good. So if we could try and capture that and let the listeners and the people viewing this understand what happened there in Ocala, it would be great to capture that today. So let's start off. We'll start with you, Kirsty. Just give us kind of an overview of the actual location itself and then the specific arena in that location.
So yeah, it was interesting actually. It was very similar. Obviously, I was over in the summer, as you know. We did that podcast in Fort Wayne, and it was very similar in the sense it was a small town, up from a big state. So obviously, Fort Wayne was not far from Chicago. Obviously, Ocala's not far from Florida. So it was actually very similar in terms of like how it was, the experience was, if that makes sense. I really liked the location. I thought it was really cool. I quite personally enjoy going to smaller parts of America that aren't necessarily your, big popular destinations. I like to see a bit more of like the local vibe. But the Equestrian Center was incredible. I didn't really know what to expect, but it was huge. There were so many different expo centers, and there was a horse riding event going on while we were there, and it was quite posh. It was quite fancy. But there were so many things to see and do. Like I barely saw any of it because I was had quite a short turnaround, but there was like Christmas decorations up and, loads of cafes, restaurants, bars, lots of things to see and do. So, maybe one day in the future, I might be back there to see more of it, but I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it was a unique place. And, I thought it was very like grand as well. Yeah. It was very like big. Everything was massive. So, but for you, Emma, what would you say?
I thought the location was great as well. The venue was stunning, actually, and it helped that the weather was also quite nice.
Yeah, no, we were loving the weather because obviously we all left the sunny UK when it was blowy and wet and grey and turned out to be in the sun. For you, Carol, any thoughts on the sort of location itself?
Well, I've never been anywhere like that. It was super grand, wasn't it? When we walked in, it was like, whoa, this is really grand. Horses everywhere, everyone dressed in horse gear. Can I tell the story about the arena?
Yeah, go for it.
So we tried to check out the venue the day before, and we remember someone had said it was Arena 2. It was actually Expo 2. But anyway, we found Arena 2, which was full of sand and full of horses trotting round. And we had a comedy discussion about how, and this was serious, about how they were going to remove all that sand for us and set up the DEKA. And I actually said they're going to need a big Hoover.
And actually, in our defence, I mean, there was quite a few of us there, but in our defence, what happened is we'd just been in that main arena where the cake and ice cream shop and the pizzeria was, and all we saw were tractors kind of moving sand. So we kind of just assumed there would be some tractors that would roll in there and clean it all out overnight, and DEKA would be able to do it in a few hours and whatever. And we were wrong.
Anyway, I was massively stressed by this, and when we did find the Expo 2, I was very relieved that they were setting it up already.
Yeah, that was a good story. So that was quite fun. And on that note, you know, Emma, you can start with us off with this one. The British team. We call it a British team. I don't think it's like when you go to the World Champs, it's not like the Olympics where it's like Team GB. But for us, it ended up being a bit like that. We became a bit of a British team when we were out there. Just any thoughts you've got on that, Emma?
Yeah, well, it was really nice. With there being quite a few athletes from the UK going, and we got a chat going beforehand. So we all knew like who was going and what days and times they'd be racing, and there was a bit of like organisation to meet up, and so there was great support on the day for all of the athletes, and it was really nice for me to be supported by other athletes and also to support other athletes while they were on course as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Kirsty, go on. You guys were kind of part of setting that group up, I think, as well.
Yeah, so I was going out with Nikki and her husband Chris, and Nikki said, "Oh, should I set up a Facebook group?" I was like, "Yeah, do you know what? That's a really good idea, actually." And then it just kind of grew, and it was really cool, actually. As Emma said, it was so nice, and as you said as well, to have what felt like a team. So even though we were all there individually, or some people would come out in like twos or threes, I think it was really nice that everybody always had someone to watch them, to film them, to cheer them on. Nobody was sort of alone. And I just love that we all ended up just being a squad, you know, and we would kind of see each other certain parts of the day, and then we'd split up and then we'd be back together, and everyone was watching everyone get the podiums. And, you know, even though I myself didn't podium, I felt so proud seeing so many British team members up there with the flag and, you know, on the podium. And I was like, I think we did an amazing job coming over and representing the UK and showing that actually DEKA is in the UK and there are athletes that are smashing it and, you know, making it to Worlds. I think it was a real good bit of promotion as well for DEKA sort of becoming a bit bigger in the UK.
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo that, and I'll add to that initially that I didn't even compete, and I had that same proud feeling, you know, and standing there in front of the podium, or even watching like yourself, Kirsty. We'll get onto it in a bit about the ruck division, but like you representing the UK and probably, I'm going to hazard a guess, I didn't look too much into it, but most of Europe probably when it comes to the ruck division. But, you know, it was quite a proud feeling to see so many people out there. And I'll talk about why I felt lucky as well in a bit. But I think from my perspective, there was this, I think you've hit it now on the head, really, this advert for what DEKA really has started to do in the UK and how it started to really get some traction and really change. So that's really something that I noticed and I felt proud of. Carol, thoughts on the British team?
Oh, it's brilliant. I loved the support and everything that we got from everyone. And, you know, Kirsty brought the flag, and it was very sort of patriotic. And a lot of people had gone out there on their own, a little bit frightened about traveling on their own, but we were a team, weren't we, when we were there? So yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, no, it was. And we said 23 podiums did we get, just to review it. 23 podiums. And Robin Legat, who is the marketing manager for DEKA, and Yancey would be at the podium most of the time. And I just kept whispering in their ear, another British podium, another British podium. And it,
considering that DEKA's fairly new in the UK, I think, you know, a lot of us haven't had a lot of experience. We did really well.
Yeah, I think like Chloe and Faye had only done the race they did to qualify for DEKA Fit, and then they came third, and actually came third in DEKA Fit, which was unreal. And that was like a big story for me, that one. But also, you know, if we cross over into sort of individual races a little bit with you, Emma, you guys managed to hit in the pairs, in the teams, you hit 2 podiums, but you didn't qualify in that position. You know, the event itself, you took it on and you went for it.
Yeah. So Philippa and I did DEKA Fit teams at Forders, and we qualified there. But on the worldwide, the leaderboard, we were only ranked 10th. And yeah, I mean, I didn't actually expect a podium, but it was really great. It was a brilliant experience. And then we did the DEKA Mile teams as well, and we came second in that one.
Yeah, and I think you were, if I'm right in saying, I think we had a brief conversation before, and because you'd had the podium the day before, you kind of were like very relaxed and there was no expectation, and then you went and did what you did, and it was.
Well, our ranking going into that one was lower, so we had the fit was the one we thought we had the best chance in, and then we were so relaxed on the Saturday that we just went for it again though. Why not?
Yeah. You know, and while we're talking about you and Philippa, and you know, Kirsty and Carol will have something to say about this, I'm sure, as well. But how many team uniforms can you actually wear in one weekend?
Well, we got through a few. Yeah, we actually now have 4 matching outfits, so we can have them on rotation. Yeah,
because you had those bright shorts. Just remind me of the brand.
Boxy.
Yeah. And they are bright. Anyone who's done DEKA, High Rocks, or any hybrid sport will have probably seen the flaming shorts that Emma and Philippa wore on one of them, because they're quite popular. But they literally, you know, you could spot them a mile away. It was brilliant. It was very easy to live stream your race because I could see where you were. Unlike when I live streamed Carol's and managed to lose the first place competitor every single time. But there you go. That's how live streaming goes, I guess. But before we go into too much depth about sort of your races, anything else you want to add on to sort of the British team and how it was? For me, my sort of memory of it will be the camaraderie in the venue, how we went and walked sort of a kilometre away for coffee and cakes between and after events, and then sort of going out for the dinners that we went out for with various little groups on the evenings. It was quite special. It felt very unique and very different to, say, when I've been away for sport on other occasions. So, you know, for my part, it was an amazing experience to have the British team together, and everyone sort of had their role within that as well, which I thought was great. But anything else you guys want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, what I really liked as well was I was quite lucky that I knew a few people from beforehand. So like me and Emma, we've met at loads of races, and we were at one of Jade's camps together. Mimi, same. I was at a camp with her. So there's quite a few people that I knew quite well. But then there was other people that I'd never met before. And I think it was really nice to, one, meet new people, make new friends, because you always see the same faces at races. So it's nice going forward now that I've met some more people that I can chat to if I see them at races going forward. But also just to hit the nail on the head of what Carol said, really, you know, so many people were traveling on their own. And in the group, they were a bit, you know, worried, a bit frightened about flying all of that way out there on their own. And I think everybody, from what I've seen and what I've read in the messages, genuinely had such an amazing experience. And I don't think that anyone had anything negative to say. I think everybody really felt that it was special. And I think that's so nice, knowing that we were all there for the same reason. Everyone had different journeys getting there, different journeys over the weekend, but we all came together as one, and everybody genuinely had such a good experience.
Yeah, no, completely agree. And I think, like, something to add on to what you just said, I think I met lots of new people from the UK as well, which was a really nice thing. But the majority of the British athletes that were out there have at some point taken part in a DEKA at my affiliate. So it felt really nice to be there, to be able to sort of renew those relationships and catch up on those relationships, as well as being able to then with some passion really support that as well. I could support every British person because of that patriotism and all of that sort of wanting the UK to do well. But actually for you guys that I'd met, and there was a lot of you that I'd already met, it was very easy to be very invested in you, because you felt like your mates were doing well, and you felt like that everything we bring as a unique gym in the Purple Army, I felt like the British team had that as well, and it was great. And it was just nice for me to feel like really invested in people and their competitions, and it was a sort of honor to be there and a pleasure to be there to watch you all, because you made us miss quite a few heartbeats at times as well, because it was epic, and it was the adrenaline on the side. You asked Chris, because he didn't race either, you know, Chris, and you know, he was like saying the same things really. So the adrenaline was unreal. But Carol, Emma, anything else on the British team?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was great to catch up with the athletes that I did already know, and meet the ones in the team that I hadn't met yet. But I thought the Americans were also like very welcoming, very supportive, and I just felt the whole atmosphere there was really brilliant, and everyone was like supporting and celebrating each other.
Yeah. Carol?
I would have loved to have watched everybody in the GB team, but I struggled a little bit to do that, just because of the times and because of my own races. It's always the same at these things. You just want to be able to watch everyone, but you can't, because of the energy it takes, and you know, the whole buzz of the whole atmosphere. It's quite draining, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah. I got to see quite a few of our GB team, so it was good.
Yeah, it was cool. It was wicked. So what we'll do now is we're just going to sort of talk through these guys' races to see if we can give a bit of perspective to those that are listening and watching as to sort of how it was and how it felt in that arena. So what we'll do is, Kirsty, let's start with you. And specifically, it was early Friday morning, and I found myself in the warm-up zone, and there you were, rucked up and ready to go. And I'm going to set you off with this. You were bouncing off the walls.
Do you know what? Like, I've got my ruck t-shirt on. Big shout out to Lou from Titan 6. He does such a good job for the ruck division. He really, really does. And he's such a nice guy as well. Really, really genuinely top guy. I was buzzing. The ruck, for me, my two favorite divisions is ruck and teams. Like, that's where I have the most fun. I enjoy myself. And yeah, I just love the ruck. Obviously, especially doing it in the summer, in July. I met a few of the ladies from the ruck division who all remembered me, which was really nice. And yeah, the Americans are so welcoming. They're so lovely. They're so friendly. And there's something quite special about that ruck division. It's kind of like like a little club, but not like a nasty club, not a clique, you know, but just like a little club of like women that just love the ruck, like just love the ruck division. And it's just so nice. And we were all just having a laugh, and like, yeah, it was, I love it. I honestly, if anyone saw me, they would have seen me bouncing around, like all pumped up. And because I hurt my knee like 6 weeks ago, I was just happy to be there. So for me, I'd already won just by being on the start line and getting to line up with, especially like Coach Brooklyn, who came first. I've seen her on Instagram, like I follow her. She is incredible. And she did it in like 38 minutes, which is insane. That's quicker than some people do it without a ruck, right? So just to be on the start line with people like that, for me, is really motivating. And yeah, I had the best time.
Yeah, no, it was, that was interesting actually, because when you had been away and through Instagram and actually DEKA's media as well, they focused on, forgive me if I get it wrong, but Coach Kimmy.
Yes, Coach Kimmy.
Stuff on Coach Kimmy, and obviously Robin Legat was in there as well.
Yeah.
So when I kind of stood there, I was looking, I was like, oh, these ladies are like the camaraderie, and there's this massive, I think it could become quite an iconic photo, where the photographer was laying on the floor and me and Yancy were kind of like, what is going on there? And you like, and I've seen the photo now, so it kind of makes sense what he was doing, but maybe we'll share that. We can share that at some point, because that's a good photograph to look at. But just on that note, before you explain a little bit more, Kirsty, I'm just going to pull Emma and Carol back into it. take a DEKA and now add 10 pounds, is it, Kirsty? No, 10 kilos.
10 kg, yeah, 10 kg.
Yeah, any thoughts on that, Emma?
I have actually tried a ruck, but I did the DEKA Mile Teams ruck. Yeah. But honestly, the assault bike with the added weight is horrendous. Yeah. So anyone actually who does an individual one, I mean, fair play to you.
Carol, any thoughts on adding 10 kilos?
I am tempted to try it, you know, just to give it a little go.
Yeah. No, I think you're nuts, Kirsty. But you know, I find DEKA hard at times. So I think, you know, to add that on would, I mean, it's not 10 kilos for me either, is it?
No. So for the men, it's 30 pounds, which is
30 pounds.
15 kg.
15
yeah,
kg.
15 kg. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, big weights to be adding on. So you did that ruck. That was the individuals.
Yeah.
And then you had 2 other races. So you raced 3 times during the weekend. So just give us a little overview of what happened and how it went.
So me and Nikki did Teams Fit on Friday afternoon and then Teams Mile on Saturday afternoon. And both of us had picked up little niggles, little injuries. So we just wanted to go out there and just give it our all. That was the goal. So, you know, we didn't have any expectations. It was our first time racing together in a 2-lap format. Obviously, usually when we've done it together, it's been in Spain, which is obviously the 3 laps, which, you know, slightly changes the way we program stuff. I had to do different stations because of my knee. So, you know, we were just grateful to be there. We gave it everything we had. We left it all out there, and that's all we could have asked for, really. And I think we had fun along the way. I remember there was one point on the fit where Emma and Philip are in the same age group as us, so they came whizzing by, and I was like, "Go on, girls!" And I think it's really nice, even being out on course, and like there's no jealousy. You know, there's not at any point I'm jealous of Philippa and Emma. You know, I'm happy for them. You know, I want them to get a podium, and I think that was really nice as well, being able to like cheer teammates on, even though you're technically competing against each other, but to cheer them on whilst you're out on course. Maybe that's just me, but yeah, I just the whole thing, I just enjoyed it, and we left it all out there. And on the mile, I can hand on my heart say there was nothing left. Like by the time we'd finished those burpees on the mile, I was done. Like I left everything out there. And that's all I can ask for after being injured, really, is just to say that I gave it my all.
Yeah, just to pick up on that, obviously, Emma, bring you in on this as well, because you're on the other side of the fence, if you like, of what Kirsty just said. But I think you guys probably did the same. And doesn't DEKA kind of allow that? I think, to be fair, I think High Rocks does as well. When if you're out on course with sort of friends or fellow athletes that you know, it really allows you to be supportive as well as be serious about what you're doing.
Oh yeah, it's really nice. And I saw a few people racing at the same time as me and just like give them a little shout. It's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Carol, I don't think you actually experienced that in the moment, did you?
Well, you say that, but there was a lady in my wave who I kept lapping, and I kept sort of like patting her on the shoulder and saying, "Come on," you know, because she was reasonably slow in the fit compared to everyone else.
Yeah, and that for me, that is what DEKA is, right? The celebration of fitness for all, and everyone qualifies by rights to be there. And then within that, there's going to be a big, broad difference within the top 15 as well. And I think, you know, that celebration of fitness and their line about earning your mark, it's very much you versus you. And then you go into the world champs, and there is that added element, I guess, as well. So, which I find really interesting, that the DEKA arena and the atmosphere was very friendly and welcoming, even though people were there for the world champs. So, you know, that kind of made a difference as well. But so yeah, sorry, Kirsty, I keep throwing you in and out, but like, so in terms of how it all went, you know, you did the ruck doubles as well. That looked interesting, but if let's assume you kind of go for it a little bit more on the ruck, on the teams in a different way to a solo, when you've added that ruck weight in a teams, is it still like, let's full send it because I'm getting a rest in a second?
So I haven't done the ruck teams. That was Emma.
Sorry,
Was it Emma? Did you do it with Philip or Emma?
No, I did it with someone else before.
Oh, someone else. Yeah. So I've never actually done a ruck teams. I've only ever done ruck solo.
Right, okay.
But in comparison to a solo, I mean, I wasn't much slower than my first time that I did it in July, even with
Right.
a bad leg. So that's not too bad. But I'm so obsessed with the ruck fit that I've already booked the next trip to America next year to do it again. So I'm determined to get that PB. Like, I know I can push a bit harder once the knee is recovered and everything. So it's not until June. So I've got a good 6 months to to get back on track.
It's an interesting thing on the ruck because I've got an interview that I did on site with Lou that's coming out on our YouTube channel after this, and there'll be snippets on the Instagram as well. And some of the things he has to say is really interesting about the ruck and how he sees the ruck going. But I'll let you guys all tune into that and have a look when that comes out. But and actually he spoke highly of you on that interview as well, Kirsty. It was cool. So that was quite nice. So moving on to you, Emma, let's drag you in. So let's start with a really simple question to give some context here.
Yeah.
How many races did you do?
6.
6. And that was basically what is known as the trifecta. And you did that in solo and in women's teams, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Cool. You know, I was paying attention, Carol, despite losing everyone in the race. I was paying attention. So with the format, for those of you that are listening that might not be too familiar, it's a day for each of the different categories. So fit, everything for DEKA Fit was on Friday, everything for DEKA Mile was on Saturday, and everything for DEKA Strong was on Sunday. So Emma, your situation, just to set the tone, was a solo race followed by a teams race on every day, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So first question on that is how do you prepare for a weekend like that? And B, how did it actually go?
Well, I think I didn't find it too bad, you know, I don't know if you remember, we chatted right at the end on the Sunday and you said, how you feeling? And at that point, I was still very, very high on adrenaline and I did still feel fine. It all caught up with me the next day, of course. But just in terms of preparing, I do what I always do in terms of training, sleeping, eating, just try and keep it as consistent as possible. And then obviously do your taper, make sure you fuel adequately. And obviously with flying out there, it wasn't that easy to stay as hydrated as possible, but we were advised to take electrolytes on the plane as well as sort of the normal ones you'd take. So I actually felt quite good going into it, and flying to America, I think it's easier than flying back again, because on the way back we got the red eye. So I actually felt quite good going into it. And
it's an interesting one because the hybrid world has grown. All hybrid sport has grown in the last 2 years, and now there's a lot of international flying, and that's at the elite level that is well covered by the media. And we've heard lots of stories about people not being able to perform because of jet lag and all of this. Your personal experience, it sounds like that went okay.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. I did actually feel okay on the day. And I was
you looked okay.
It was quite an exciting event, and like I said, I was quite high on adrenaline for the whole weekend. And even just the buzz in the arena, and it was like once you were there, the energy was almost like contagious, so it kind of gets you through when you're there. And then on the Monday afterwards, I really crashed, and I was like, oh yeah, I can feel it now.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it happened in the right order for you, which is great. And you know, for anyone who's watching the YouTube, they will have seen 3 other people nodding with Emma there when she talked about the adrenaline of the arena, because you literally you can't describe it after to someone that wasn't there, but anyone that's there, and everyone's nodding right now, is just like, it was electric, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Yancey, we all know Yancey, we all love Yancey and his buzz, but I can see how we can keep going on that adrenaline, and you're thriving off that all day. And in terms of that kind of race number 2, so you and Philippa got 3rd in DEKA Fit. So many podiums for the Brits, by the way. You know, it's hard to remember them, but I think like you came 3rd in DEKA Fit. And the reaction I got from you at the end was that you were completely stunned that had happened.
Yeah, I was.
almost like you couldn't have a conversation about it because you didn't think it was real.
Yeah. I was like, is that definite? Is that for sure? Before I actually celebrate.
Yeah, I remember because the finish line was probably best placed out of the 3 for the scoreboard, but it wasn't the closest thing it could be to the scoreboard. So I remember like a few of us doing a few doggies backwards and forwards to the scoreboard just to check that it was real. And we did that on multiple races, actually, for multiple people. But when you stood on that podium in that moment, you had your moment. What did that feel like?
It was brilliant. I loved it. I mean, when I do lots of events, like I do like to just focus on sort of like improving, like getting better myself. And like you say, it's you versus you. But like, I mean, I do enjoy a podium moment. I can't lie.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then going on to Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, you approached me. I mentioned it a minute ago. You approached me and I sort of said, how are you feeling about the race? And you said, you know what? Yesterday was so great. Today's just fun, isn't it? And then you came 2nd. Is that right?
Yeah, that's because I'm more by surprise, to be honest with you.
Why was it a surprise? Was it that you hadn't qualified in a higher rank, so you weren't expecting it, or was it just that you were fatigued and you thought you weren't going to be able to perform?
Well, a bit of both, really. We thought after like we both did the individual fit and the team's fit the day before, we had qualified like in a lower ranking for that one. So yeah, we expected that one even less, and it was just amazing. But like that one, I do love the teams in DEKA, particularly. It's so much fun. It's very fast and furious, and there's quite a lot of tactics involved. So like, if you get your team right and you get your tactics right, then I mean it's just brilliant fun. And it was very close as well, I think. And it was like people changing positions quite close to the end, which I think, well, I hope sort of made it like a bit more interesting for people to watch as well.
Could you feel that in the actual race? Did you know it was changing?
That was my favorite bit though. Oh, when I watched the your streaming, when I watched it back, my favorite bit was when you were like, Carol, get in their faces. That was brilliant. And actually Carol did come along and tell us we were in 3rd when we were on the tank. And that was so motivating though, because I did think, okay, now is not the time to take our foot off the gas. But actually we didn't even realise we'd moved into 2nd by the time we got to the finish line. I
mean, you guys were like, I mean, you say about that and what was it like to watch? It was hard. It was hard to watch. It was hard to watch you all because the drama that unfolded in races like that one, and it was real drama. It was real racing. It was real entertainment. I did hear, I don't want to quote anyone here, but I did hear some of the officials like Ugly Dave and Yancey and those guys actually comment on that this year, that the races were tight, that there were some real epic moments and that they were really tight. I don't know if that implies that it perhaps had been quite clear cut in the previous world champs that they've had so far. Obviously, this is just a baby sport, so we're very young in terms of how many there will have been. But what I mean is that there seemed to be, like, in a couple of those elite races, when you could hear them talking, you could hear them referencing how tight some of this had actually become. And they seemed really happy about it, and the adrenaline was high and everyone was pumped. And, you know, for me, standing as only a spectator for the weekend, it was like that. And yeah, I've got to be honest, Emma, it was a moment as a coach where the coach in me came out, and I just kind of had to, I was trying to concentrate on the fact that there was two pairs out together. And I was trying to capture it. And I was like, Carol, just go and get in their face. You've got to do something. Like, someone's got to tell them. And she obviously did. So it was good. And it's a great moment. It's a shame we can't clip it. It's hard to clip that. I might be able to screen grab it or something, but it was a good moment. So, and then the strong, Emma, just a word on the strong the next day, both solo and the pairs, obviously whatever you had left in the tank, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I was feeling quite sort of, I could feel my tiredness in my muscles just warming up. So again, I didn't actually have any expectations, and especially as a team, we thought that would be our least suited to us, maybe, at the 3 events. But I mean, I placed 5th in my individual one, so again, I was quite surprised and quite pleased by that.
Yeah, no.
And, yeah.
Epic all-round performances from you guys, really. So, Carol, tell us a little bit about yours. I'm going to set the tone that you didn't move position all weekend, which kind of gives a bit of an overview. As I would say, from a coaching point of view, what I learned about you is that you have the all-round game, and that running wasn't an advantage and strength wasn't an advantage. You could do everything that you needed to do and have such a great, consistent performance, whereas the other ladies around you moved around the podium and off of the podium because they had strengths in other areas. Yeah. But for you, how was it?
Well, I had a kind of expectation because I was placed 2nd in DEKA Fit on the leaderboard, 1st in mile and 2nd in strong. So I knew I had a chance of podium. And, you know, every single race was fantastic, really close, you know, like your race, Emma, that there were people going in front of me, and then I'd go in front of them and I'd overtake them on the run. And I was so pleased that there were women who were competitive with me, because at my age, so I'm 62, there are not that many people in the population that would even complete one of those races, let alone be the top 15 or the top 3. So, you know, it's really great to race against kind of equal people.
Yeah, and actually, Emma and Kirsty, I'm not sure. I was so concentrated on trying to film it that I wasn't really sure who was watching those races of Carol's, but I think we've had a discussion about it, and you're okay about it because you left everything out there. But how does it feel to lose a first place on one burpee?
I don't feel like I lost. I really don't feel like I lost, because I could not have done any more. I mean, the DEKA Mile that's the one you're talking about. That was probably the hardest race of my life, because I just absolutely sent it on that race. Well, all of them, actually. I mean, the strong was very intense, because I think I was a bit more worried about the strong, because I can make up on the running sometimes. But I knew the woman that won it, Shannon, she's strong and powerful. And I really didn't think that I could get 2nd place in that, but I did.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you guys see that mile at the end there or not? I can't remember if you were there.
No, I didn't see that mile. But
so yeah, Kirsty, go on. Any thoughts on Carol's races? Because it was quite dramatic, that one burpee. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, no, I missed that. I missed it, which is a shame. But what I was just going to say is, like, personally to me, it's so inspiring. And I'm genuinely not just saying this, like I do mean it, like, you know, from the bottom of my heart, that like I hope when I'm that age that I'm doing that. And I think that, especially in America, right, sport is massive to them. So probably a lot of the ladies in those older categories probably come from sporting backgrounds or have grown up with it, right? Being American, and sport's very big to them and it's important to them, right? So they've probably done it from a young age. Whereas, and again, I don't want to generalize because this might not be true, but maybe in the UK, we don't have such a passion for fitness that maybe the older generation don't do it as much. I don't know, but you know, that's how it could seem. But watching those age group categories, and even Liz's age group category, and Anne, you know, I really hope that I am still doing that at that age. Like, it's so motivating to see, you know, especially, you know, Carol as well being on the podium, triple podium. I mean, it's just incredible. Like, and again, like I said before, it just makes me so proud that we have athletes like this in the UK that can represent from the youngest categories up to like the oldest categories, and, you know, podium in pretty much every age group nearly. So yeah, I just think it's incredible, and massive well done to Carol. Like, you just smashed it. Like, it's honestly, it's very motivating and inspiring for sure.
Yeah, no,
well, I think it was a little bit tense for people watching at home.
Yeah, well, it was definitely. And obviously we've gone through your races. For the three of you, any words for the rest of the British team on their performances? I mean, Kirsty, you just highlighted some there. Absolutely agree. It was phenomenal to watch, and it was proud every single time to be British. Emma, Carol, anything to add?
Can I just give Anne Donahue a mention, because she was absolutely fantastic. 69-year-old woman.
Yeah.
Never done fitness before the age of 68. And how many races did she do?
I think she did 5 of the 6 categories.
She did 5 races, and she just was consistent in all of them, just kept pushing. She never walked at all.
Yeah.
And she had the most amazing time.
Yeah. So inspirational. Like, Anne is, I second that.
Yeah. Emma, any thoughts on everyone?
It was just great to see everyone there, and like everyone smashed it. It was brilliant. And I was really impressed with Mimi, actually.
Yeah.
It's great to see her. She's so like confident and coming out, and you know, yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, we had Mimi, we had Maya as well, in the 10 to 13 category. With obviously her mum was there, she got silver as well. Her mum got silver, Maya got a gold, bronze. Lee Harvey got a gold. You know, Phil Cunningham, Big Phil as I call him now. He was in multiple races. Mark was world champ. Like, it goes on. Liz was world champ. I mean, you know, Faye and Chloe. Cara, Faye and Chloe's coach from back home. There was, you know, and there was people like Hayley that we didn't actually see because she kind of only had to nip in for a race. The boys from Forders, CW1, like, you know, Andy Pandy, everyone. It was mad. It was epic, and I just thought it was awesome. General question: what did we think to any of the elite racing that we saw?
Well, I watched the women's elite race. Oh, that was, I mean, Lauren Weeks is just something else. I've seen her race live when I went to Vienna High Rocks Open Championships in February, and she's just incredible. Like, it's just mind blowing. It's not until you see it in person that you really realize how fast they actually are. But all of the, you know, everyone did so well. All of the women are like really inspiring. And again, what's really nice is, like, you know, like probably a lot of people have watched the High Rocks is when they see all of the women at the end cheering on the ones that are in last position for the wall balls. And it's the same in DEKA. You know, they're all passionate for that person to complete their race, regardless of where they've come. And even the men, I didn't see the men's race, but I've seen the camaraderie for the men. And I just think, like, it's just really nice that, you know, everybody is doing their own thing, and it is a competition, but everyone's equally so supportive. But yeah, oh my God, some of those American women are fast.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, Emma, any of the elites stand out?
I didn't actually see many of them, but I caught a bit of Lauren on screen, and she was going so fast. That's incredible. And
Well, I was wanting to watch the female elite race, but they started just after my first race had finished. So I was busy chatting. Then I saw Lauren Weeks go on the track, and I was carried on chatting. Next thing I know, she's at burpees. So I'd missed everything except the burpees. She was so fast.
And just a quick fire kind of word. Bubbles. Kevin Gregory. What a guy, by the way. What a legend. Like, really nice guy with it. Unbelievable. That's my take. Any thoughts on Bubbles?
So when I was out in July, he was doing the ruck as well, and we both came second, so we were on the podium together. And I remember, like, you know, when you meet someone that you followed on Instagram and you just blurt out something, and I'm pretty sure on the start line for the ruck I was like, oh my god, Kevin, we all love you back in the UK. You do the bike in like 15 seconds, like verbal, you know, diarrhea just spewing out. And then we shared the podium together, and he is genuinely such a nice guy. And there's a couple of girls, American ladies, that I chat to in the ruck division who say that even though they aren't like top of the pack, he still messages them, supports them. And I just feel like he is that sort of guy that cares about everyone's journey, whether he coaches you, whether he's only met you once. Like, he's genuinely just wants to see people do well. Yeah. And every experience I've had talking to him, he's just genuinely been a really nice guy.
Yeah, completely agree. I think, you know, echo those words really. And then we'll just go round the three of you. Just going to give you some names. Yancey, Robin, Ugly Dave, Nelson, the DEKA team, the judges. What did we think? Go on, Emma.
Well, I thought it was great that Yancey and Dave were on the floor the whole time. They were there all day, every day. Yancey was going around chatting to people, fist bumping people on the start line, and Dave was there, like, at the start line as well, like clarifying movement standards, and like there weren't many issues, but if any issues did crop up, they were there dealing with it straight away.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just thought it was great. I mean, the whole team was good. I certainly found, like, all the judges I had, they seemed really good and fair and quite, like, supportive as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, echo all of that as well. That was ace. Kirsty, thoughts?
Well, obviously I've had the pleasure of meeting Yancey and Robin both in the States in the summer. And Yancey was exactly the same then, out on course, fist bumping people, high-fiving, bringing that energy. Robin is such a nice lady, and she works her butt off, like skating around, getting all the content. And she did 3 ruck races as well across the weekend. And she's such a nice lady. And yeah, I've just got a lot of time for them. You know, they really care about what they're trying to do, and they care about the people. And I haven't met Ugly Dave before, but just like Emma said, I saw him out on course. He was reffing, making sure everybody was held to the standards. And I know Chloe they had an issue in their teams one. And I saw them speaking to him. He sorted it out straight away, got it dealt with for them to correct their time. They got some time taken off for an incident that happened on the lunges. So I think, you know, they're really trying to make sure that they can be as fair, and the judging is as fair as it can possibly be while still being a competition, right? So yeah, I think I personally really feel like the energy in America is just a different level. You know, like, don't get me wrong, the individual affiliate gyms, like, that I've been to have been great. It's not slating them at all. But the energy in those arena events in America is like something that the 2 times I've been there now, it's just felt different. It's such a, I don't even know how to describe it. I guess the best way we said earlier, right? Like, that energy, that vibe, it's just, yeah, I love it.
Carol, thoughts on those guys?
Yeah, I agree with what Kirsty and Emma have said about Yancey and the rest of the team. Very responsive, very friendly, very energetic, and they had a few issues to sort out with the medals and the t-shirts not arriving in time. They, you know, we got all ours in the end because they sorted it all out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you know, I think Yancey spoke to me, and that interview will be out on Christmas Day. He spoke to me about how they failed forward. And I think anyone who is a decent human being should understand that people aren't perfect. And if they recognise that they're failing forward, which I think we all said we saw on site, I think that's a great way to approach it. So, yeah, no, brilliant. So that's all we've got time for on the show today. But just want to say thanks to all three of you for joining me and reliving it a little bit and enjoying what we went through. And hopefully those that have sort of listened or are there on site can sort of get an idea of how it was over the weekend and enjoy it. And hopefully come to a DEKA affiliate here in the UK sometime soon as well. So what I'll say is thanks, Emma, thanks, Kirsty, thanks, Carol. Thanks to everyone who's listened. If you think anyone wants to hear this, make sure you share it. For those that have listened, if you could leave a comment, like, share, that is always appreciated for us, the small guys, because it makes a hell of a difference and it makes it know that you're listening. And any questions you have for future shows, of course, put them on the comments as well, because that always helps with what we put in the next show. So again, thanks again, ladies. Really appreciate it. And I thank everyone for listening. And let's hope we can meet here again soon to discuss more on the rocks.